on Facebook where we can look and see, or anything like that? Is there? So howdy and aloha, everybody. This is James with Monda's Talk. I have the lovely and fantastic Stephanie King from Redden Economics, actually sitting right across from me. And she was going over a lot of information that she'd been studying for quite a while now in regards to regime, what is it called?
Hybrid regime.
Hybrid regime. And it's kind of like a farcical democracy that I think we're all in. So do you want to elaborate on that, or do you want to talk about a few things of it right now? Or
Yeah,
go ahead.
I'm glad Michael's here. What I was saying earlier, back when we were having some audio issues, was that I'm so glad that you stayed and kept reminding me about this, because this is so important to what it perfectly accurately describes exactly what we're going through right now. So basically what it is that I got my notes with me. A hybrid regime is an authoritarian democracy, democratic hybrid. So it means, like, basically you're partially free. It's authoritarianism masked with democracy. And what happens is the people that run the country, the corporations, the politicians, it's a kleptocracy. They take and take and take. They abuse their powers. They undermine the democratic, things that they have in place. Like a good example of that is voting. And in a hybrid regime, what they will do is they will close down polling stations. They'll use gerrymandering, voter ID laws, just any kind of way. They won't outright, just institute who they want. They won't outright suppress people. What they will do is just make it really, really hard to participate in democracy. And that's why we don't have a holiday, for election days. We don't have, that's why everything's so corrupt and just awful right now, because the main goal is to keep the party in power. And it doesn't matter whether or not it's Democratic or Republican, because that's another one of those, false democracies that they put up and say, look, we have two parties you can choose from. Or we allow third parties, but there's, in reality, there's only one party that runs things. They just split themselves up into two different parties to make it look like we have options, but we don't. Am I making sense so far?
Zach's called it a Hydra regime.
Hydra regime? That's a good one. Yeah, pretty much. So I was watching this one video, and the guy's name is Dr. Michael Rossi.
Zhivago.
It's about an hour long, but he broke it down really, really well, because I was looking it up and reading stuff about it. I was like, it seems like a lot of, like political science jargon, but he actually explained it to where it was like, oh, okay, now these are terms, like, I get this. The mic is still bad.
It's not echoing, it's just faint.
Okay. I'm trying to hold the mic and talking to it. Okay, so the way he described it was that it's covert abuses of democracy. So you'll have bribery, extortion, nepotism, clientelism. The judges, the judiciaries are all compliant in the total takeover of democracy. They stack public authorities, and they have legal ways of wrangling their oppression or their opposition. What they'll do is they'll throw, and you'll see this with like the Green Party or any other third party, which is they put all these roadblocks in their way. So a Republican or a Democrat that's part of the inside group, they can run, the donors are lined up, everything's a clear path to the candidacy. But if you're in a third party, well, now you've got to deal with, can I get on the ballot? I have to raise money. I have to do all these different things in order for me to even have a slight chance of even being a winner. And so that's another tactic that they use. It's another word for it is soft power. A hybrid regime does not use hard power. They don't outright assassinate people unless they have to. They don't, imprison, political opponents unless they have to. What they do is that they make them irrelevant. Like Bernie Sanders is a good example of that. He had some dangerous talk in the last election, and look at him now. I mean, look at him by the end of the last election. He was telling people to go vote for Hillary. So they don't use the powerful strong arm tactics. They just do the soft power tactics. And so they can say, well, look, it's not like, we're sending, people out in the streets, and the military isn't kidnapping people. They are. And we see this. I mean, look at what's happening in, what was it, Washington and Seattle. Look at what they've done to Assange. Look at what they've done to Edward Snowden, Chelsea Manning, Martin Luther King Jr. So I would not say that they won't use those. That's a last resort, because they have to hide behind that mask of democracy. So, and this makes things really complicated because it's hard to overthrow a government like that. It's hard to make changes. They're not open to democracy. And the fact that they even hide behind the mask of it keeps some people believing that they can still just show up and vote for the lesser two evils and everything's going to be okay. They think that, because of this, people will watch MSNBC or, Fox News and think that they're getting the truth. This is why we fight about things. Oh, I'm voting Biden. I'm voting Trump. I'm not voting at all. And everybody's fighting about everything. And none of those things matter. It's just a way to divide us. So, yeah, they will use the strong arm tactics if their back's against the wall, but it's very hard to do this. Now, he did mention in that video that there are a couple of things that hybrid regimes can't do. And I sent him an email to ask him about, like, what happens if a hybrid regime does do these things. But I just sent it to him, so I haven't heard anything back. But, let's see. They're not allowed to rig elections, which, I mean, we've already busted that. We busted that rule blatantly last time. Assassinating high-profile figures. Now, they will assassinate your character. They'll assassinate your character, but they really try not to assassinate, political figures. But we do see it happen. Martin Luther King Jr. Let's see, who else? I forget his name. He was up in Michigan. He was one of the founding members of Black Lives Matter. He was found shot inside of a burning car. So it does happen. It definitely does happen. It definitely happens. Banning large political parties. They haven't outright banned, like, these third parties like Green Party, Democratic Socialists, Libertarians, but they, like I was mentioning earlier, they have made it pretty much to where they're irrelevant. But they haven't broken that one yet. Committing human rights violations, and this is another one that they're doing right now when it comes to the treatment of minorities in America. It's just a matter of people don't think it's really we don't think of it like a human rights violation and racism. You're just like, oh, that was a couple of racists, and we're not allowed to see the bigger picture. This is a systemic practice of racism and killing and abusing, oppressing minorities. So. Yeah. I was just, yeah, I do like Zoon Politicon with Holly Seeliger. She does talk about some of these, assassinations that a lot of people don't talk about. So that's pretty much. I'll probably do a separate show on my channel just to
More details.
just to nail it down with more details. But I just wanted to give an overall description because I mean that's the problem is that I feel like I'm going crazy because it's like, okay, well, everybody keeps saying there's democracy, you can vote, you can protest, you can do all these things, but it's just like it's just a farce. None of that's real. Like none of it is something that it's just a way a front. Like you see in Hollywood where it's just it looks like a house and then you walk in, it's just like no, it's just the front to one. So. But that's what we're working on is a way with nonpartyvoters.org is to actually change those things to where, it actually means something, taking back the power from them and, a little bit more democracy, a little less fascism. But anyway, that's pretty much all I've got to say on that one for now. Like I said, I'll finish it up on my channel and, with the details and all that. But, you ready?
Okay, so I don't know what's going on with her microphone, but I'm not getting any feed from your microphone at all. You're actually, it sounds like you're kind of using my microphone, which I'm still trying to figure out. So anyway, maybe check that it's in properly. I'm not sure. But anyway, from what this is another term that we all know it's part of the two-party oligarchy, which has become one party. It's one, in my opinion, and from my perspective, one political party, and they are rigging everything for just them. They don't want, and they've never wanted anybody else to jump in and play in the same sandbox. It's just not going to happen anytime soon. One of the major reasons is because of the money and influence and power. I call them the corporate elite 1%. They're dictating pretty much everything that's happening. This has been happening for decades. If you're not privy to that, and if you don't think that is an issue or a problem or is actually happening, then like I said, you need to dive down like me into the Mariana Trench, and I'll show you all the craziness down there because it really exists. Let me just show you real quick. Basically, in regards to the debates, you have what this is called the Commission of Presidential Debates. And the Commission of Presidential Debates, they have their rules and regulations and guidelines, and if you can make it in or not, or if you're able, or whatever the case may be. They're not going to let anybody in unless you get a decent percent of the polling. And if you're really paying attention, you will know that the polling, from what I can tell, can be easily manipulated, rigged, adjusted, because when you watch these debates, this is the greatest indicator, and it's been like this for many of these voting cycles, every 4 years. You'll have one group of media outlets, whether it's on the right or it's on the left, and they'll indicate clearly that they're biased. You'll see their numbers showing that so-and-so candidate is winning, and then you turn the channel and then you'll see another, on the other side of the aisle, media outlet or publication or social media outlet that'll indicate that their candidate is winning. And it's just interesting. And then they're also able to adjust and and target certain demographics where they know they're going to get a particular outcome. You know, let's go for like women over 40 in rural or heavily populated areas, or just women over 40. Basically, you're probably going to get more people that will definitely not like Trump, and more people that will like Biden, of course. So it's about the target market that they go after, that they're able to go after. It's not a brush sweep. They may get 5,000 people, 10,000 people, and they'll say these are unbiased in a sense, and they're spread out in certain areas, but they can target those areas. They can, just like they do with gerrymandering, they can throw, and the ability of the polling is so easily adjusted. I should get at some point, and I'll probably find it, but I had it a while back, around 2016 and 17, after, you know, Bernie bent over for Hillary. I wanted to see what the polling was and the primaries and all this stuff. And then there was this article that was created. I'm trying to remember. It wasn't The Hill. I think it was one of the ones that recently was censored or taken off. Maybe it was the Free Thought Project. I'm not sure who it was. But somebody did some serious investigating and found out that they were, of course, hitting a particular demographic, a particular area, a particular zone to get the results that they wanted. And whether they polled 100 people or 5,000 people or 10,000 people, they're able to adjust this information. Now, I do believe that hopefully one day we can all vote for ourselves and go with non-party voters, or be a party crasher, or you know, just be able to be party less. That's the way I created, and Stevie's helping me with non-party voters, or nonpartyvoter.org, where you don't have to succumb to the party line or be obedient to the party platform or kiss the ass of their particular party stooge or frontman that they want to throw out there that you fucking just don't like. So what this means, non-party voters, is about write-in voting, being able to write in wherever you want. And I think that would turn some heads if we can get more people in that direction. And I think that's very important, but there's a lot of obstacles out there for all the other states. It is possible to write in, like I said, it's fully allowed. You don't have to register for a party. You don't have to register, you know, you just write in your candidate, whether you want to put in, you know, Wolverine or Mickey Mouse or the girl from Frozen, whatever. I don't know why that came up. Or whoever you want to, you know, and put that in there. The train's going by. You can hear that. The train is about 200 or 300 yards from us, and there's a few passings, so they have to make their, you know, alert honks and horns. It's pretty freaking loud. There's a little shaking too in the house every once in a while if the train's big enough or heavy enough. A lot of coal still moving around. But the point of what I think she's getting to in regards to the Hydra regimes, Hydra. Gee, what is that? Hell Hydra, right? The Hydra regimes are basically just the farcical nonsense of the democracy that everybody believes that they have, which they don't. Which you don't. You don't. I mean, if you still believe in the system that we have now, then I don't know what to say. I do know what to say. You're just being fooled. You know, Jimmy Dore said, "You're a chump. You're a chump." No. It's not their fault, Jimmy. There's a lot of money and power and influence and advertising and marketing and branding and logo and publicity that goes in to putting this kind of crap up. Where you're watching a football game and professional athletes are all saluting and waving and cheering to fucking cardboard cutouts, cheering for them. It's fucking ridiculous. It's fucking ridiculous. But it is, like I said, because of the corporate elite 1% or the CE1's. The CE1's, and there's just a handful of them, dictate everything because they're the highest donors. They're the biggest donors. They provide more campaign finance than you could imagine. It's just, it's an amazing amount of money. How much money already has been spent? It's been kind of a record low because of the pandemic or the scamdemic or pandemic or whatever the fuck you want to call it, right? But it's been lower because there hasn't been a lot of feet to the street, grassroots campaigning, which costs money as well. But it's still in the billions. I think we're at 6 billion. I don't know in average. I don't know. It's a shit ton of fucking money, and that shouldn't happen. That just shouldn't happen, because if I could buy one advertisement at 8 o'clock on Game of Thrones is gone. What's a popular show right now? I don't even fucking know. I like that show Lovecraft. I think that's a cool show. And then of course The Boys.
Show that picture.
What?
Of Pence and him.
Pence and him doing what?
Pence and the guy from Lovecraft Country.
Oh my God.
So creepy.
Oh, it's the same. If you've ever seen Lovecraft Country, you see the guy with the white hair. He's also a girl. Anyway, oh shit.
Spoilers.
Spoiler alert. Well, anyway, there's like a similarity. It's pretty freaky. But yeah, Pence had a fly on his hair for 2.3 minutes. And okay, but the shit, flies nowhere to go to plant their larva. That's all I have to say. And then some of the Republicans, of course, are saying they usually go to the sweet stuff first. It's like, what? There was a meme out there about a fly landing on Pence's head that says, before a fly will go to the dirty stuff, they'll go to the sweet stuff first. It's like, what? Is this your comeback? Is this your defense? Is this how you're gonna? Is this your comeback meme? That's just fucking ridiculous.
You remember how Bernie's moment was when the bird landed on the podium? That was Pence's moment.
Oh yeah.
Land on his head.
Yeah, Bernie had the moment of a bird, which was green, meaning you probably should have went green, Bernie. Which I was trying to get everybody to do, but of course he's been working for the wrong side for a long time. I think you all understand that now. But then, now we have a flag jumping on Pence's head. Who knows anyway, I'm not going to talk about Kamala. She's not worth my time or my effort. But the basic thing that we're really trying to get to is there is something out there that's actually happening that people just aren't even talking about. There's a corporate elite 1% and these rich motherfuckers out there just pretty much controlling everything. And they're not doing anything for you, and they don't care about you. They don't care about you. They may portray that they do. You might get an elected official that might say, hey, I want to bring this and do that and do this and do that. But when it comes down to it, nothing. Nothing at all. So to the meek, the malleable, and the obedient that are still roaming the earth. And look, I know I've got to stay on the sidewalk. I got to use the crosswalk. I have got to, obey the traffic lights because I don't want anybody to get hurt and, brush my teeth and take care of myself and wash my hands. And of course, I still wear a mask when I go out to places that require a mask because I do care about others and I care about the concern that they have, whether I believe it's bullshit or not. I just get their fear. I understand, and I'm not going to, trigger them or try to make them feel or belittle them or try to make them feel less or not as knowledgeable as I. But I will say this, and I know that Stevie really put in a good plug for me the other day. That's probably not something you want to say. She really said some great things about the amount of research that I really do, where I go, where I find the links, where I find the information, where I look at, like I say, if you taste something and it's a little salty, then just it's fine. But if it's too salty, you're just like, what the fuck is this? Or if it doesn't have a, you've got to ask questions. You got to say, hey, could you get the chef for me and let me talk to the manager? There's something wrong with this, man. What the fuck is this thing hanging out of it? You just can't be so easily swayed, so easily obedient, and just not having, what is the word I'm looking for? Like you want to be a little solid. You want to be solid, man. You want to be able to stick up for yourself. You want to be able to, have a debate. You want to be able to talk. You want to be able to go over your talking points. You want to make sure that your concerns, your demands, and your necessities are met. That's part of why you pay taxes. That's part of why you obey the laws that are out there right now. You're doing your part. You're paying your taxes. You're doing what you're supposed to be doing. And so why in the fuck aren't they? And the reason why you see Donald Trump paying $750 in the past 4 or 5 years is because he's not the only one doing it. Corporations, right? If you incorporate, if you S Corp, C Corp, nonprofit, whatever you want to do, I'm telling you, I'm just starting to get this, and I kind of knew this in the past, and I never really thought how important it was, but if it's there, do it. If you can incorporate. Use the same tax loopholes they use. Get the same subsidies, well, not that much, but in a sense what they get. There's grants out there for startup new businesses, for nonprofits, all kinds of stuff. Go ahead.
The only people that count as people anymore are corporations. So make yourself a corporation. If you can.
Yeah, so that's kind of my point is that, if they're fucking doing it, do it. If
any way that you can protect yourself, honestly, because they are cutthroat and ruthless. And we have to protect ourselves any way that we can, because nothing is stopping them. Look at everything in 2020. The fascism, the blatant disregard for the people in the streets, the homeless, hungry, unemployed, sick. They cannot be bothered with any of it. So anything that we can do to arm ourselves and protect ourselves, because it's only going to get worse. It's only going to get worse. And we should probably do a video or something about some of the steps to going through it, like how to start some of these things, because it's very
for sure.
Yeah, anything we can do to make things easier for us, because nothing's stopping them. Nothing is stopping them from taking advantage. They have teams of people looking for the most minuscule law or anything, pennies anything that they can get through the system. They have a team of people working on it in order to get it. So, we've got to do the same thing.
Oh, for sure. There's, I've got a lot of, look, on TikTok, the algorithm kind of puts you in that spot, but there's a lot of startup information on TikTok. I've actually shared a file with my kids and with my wife on how to do a lot of things, and it just depends on the state on how difficult it is. Just to let you know, when you call somebody in California to help you with getting your registering your business, or you're doing business hours, or you're trying to talk to the county clerk or whatever is going on, or the Secretary of State that would have that and provide that information and do those things for you, good luck. That's fucking California, man. Here I'm actually talking to the people that are in charge. The state is so small. There's 1.7 million people here. It's so easy to work with. I mean, DMV, you can talk to people in California like that, but there's so many services, state and federal departments in California that are just hard to get in touch with, and they don't really care about you. People here are just like the smaller states. If you're in a small state, and you might be able to just walk into the goddamn office and just start talking to somebody, and there's probably not even a line. So I'm going to encourage everybody out there to incorporate yourself. I mean, the way I see it is, if they're using an AK-47, a tank, an aircraft carrier, and a SEAL Team 6, why don't you? Right? I mean, why aren't you using the same arsenal? I mean, I'm not talking about war.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
there's certain lines that we won't cross, because if we do, that we'd be just the same as them. But
No.
We're talking about within the bounds
of incorporating, of course. Don't get me wrong here. What I'm saying is, so let me give you a better example. So you could either use the knockoff tools to repair your car, okay, from Harbor Freight. I don't know if you have a Harbor Freight around you, which will probably break down, or you can use the tools, the Snap-on tools. You can use what they're using, which are the Snap-on tools, and you use the same tools that are there. They're there for you. Some registration fees and stuff cost a little money, and this and this and that. But the bottom line is this: do what they're doing, but in a bigger, how do I say that? In a mass way, in a movement way.
For the greater good.
For the greater good. See, they have a small group, but we have a larger group, corporations. So let's say, for example, I started, she's helping me, nonpartyvoters.org. We're actually registered as a nonprofit. I have my EIN number. I'm still working on some stuff to get that more out to the public and get it moving in the better direction. There's still a few things I'm still learning. Nonprofit's not easy to do. You still have to do your bylaws, get your directors, get some plans and certain things you have to have ready for auditing, et cetera, et cetera. But there's system out there to do these things. So if you want to start, what you need to do to get what these son of a bitches have been doing for a long time, I just fucking do it. Look into it. I'm just saying, look into it. Doesn't mean you're going to be like them. It's you're using the same tools they're using now. You're not using no tools. Like, they actually have pneumatic tools. You know, they actually have air compressors. They actually have, tool and die machines. And this is what you can have now too, and do it and get what you need to have done. And then once you band together and once you start building up this gigantic mass of corporations that are starting to rule the streets, Main Street, not Wall Street, but starting to rule Main Street, sure enough, somebody's going to start pulling that plug. I'm just feeling it right now, right? But that's part of what we should start doing. Being able to write your vote in. There are like 10, how many states are there? 9 states that you can't, or 7 states, I believe, that you can't. That you really can't. You know what? Let me show you that real quick. Let me just show you real quick. That you can't write in your vote. Let me just go to non-party voters. I know, you're like, I don't talk about non-party voters. But I'm going to show you a video right after this. So when you go to the website, right, here you go. This is what it looks like. Nonpartyvoters.org. And it's small. I just started it. I'm still putting a lot of stuff together in it. It is the GoDaddy generic site. I am going to get somebody to make something a much better, but this is just the beginning stages, right? The beginning stages. So what are your concerns? Do you want green energy? Do you want, Green New Deal? Bill Gates is a piece of shit. Get rid of Citizens United. You know, there's a few pictures here and stuff like that, and I'll be adding more as we go. Where do you stand on things? I think we should stand on keep money out of politics, but that's clearly up to you. You know, I think we should also have, you know, ranked choice voting, but that's clearly up to you, along with the write-in, right? I know that the greatest weapon or the most dangerous weapon is not a gun, right? It's the media, right? It's the media that's controlled by a government that is controlled by the CE1's, for sure, the corporate elite 1%. And, you know, no matter who you vote for, you're going to have these guys always dropping their bombs, right? And this is just part of the website. But if you go right here, here's some information on what our process is. Let's be real, the parties have been compromised. But right here is the one I want to show you. And I'm still working on this Mac. Non-party voters. Let me see if I can get it in here better so you can see it. All right, so if you click it, right, these green states, Oregon, Wyoming, Iowa, Pennsylvania, Vermont, New Jersey, New Hampshire, Alabama, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 states you can write in. You can literally write people in. What was that? What happened? Oh my God, it sounded like you were snapping your fingers. She just cracked her knuckles. Oh my gosh. Man. And this chick can throw a football too. All right. The yellow states, and you hover over, it says write-in is possible. Right? It's some of it's a ton of work, some of it's not that hard, signatures, etc. But the red states, these are the unconstitutional states. These are states where it's unconstitutional, from my perspective and many others, to not allow write-in voting that we've had since our creation, since we've been a nation, you know, with life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, right? Supposedly. That's ridiculous, and it's wrong. You know, and those states are, of course, Hawaii. Oh my God, that's so terrible. Nevada, which is surprising to me. New Mexico, can kind of understand. Oklahoma, yeah, for sure. Arkansas, for sure. Mississippi, Louisiana, South Dakota, yeah. And, of course, South Carolina, I can understand that. But Hawaii, for fuck's sakes, a super supposed liberal place. It's just terrible. Nevada still kind of, it doesn't make any sense to me either. But what happens is when you click on it, let me make it a little bigger here. So when you click on it, it will take you, zoom in, and then click again. It will take you straight to Ballotpedia and show you the processes of balloting, right? Ballot requires presidential states. Okay, so let's go back to the map. Let's go here. And I think I need to update some of those. Where is it? Where is it? Oh, crap. It doesn't go to a separate page. I need to make sure it goes to a separate page. All right, so let's go back. Map. Let's go back here. So let's go to Alabama. And we'll click Alabama again. Right? And it takes you to, here it is. Right? In order to get any ballot of Alabama, candidate and president of the United States must meet various qualifications, right? Signatures, 350 to 500, right? Filing date by 11/8/2019. What state was that? You should be able to write that in easily, but you can. I got to go into more detail on this, but you can do it. Right? That's the great thing about it, is you can do it. So let's go to Oregon. I want to see what Oregon says. Yeah. signatures required is 5,000, but you can do it. But there's a spot on there to write in the name, and they'll count it. That's the difference. All right, so let's go back. All right, so all the information is there. It's in Ballotpedia, but it shows you that it can be done. Right? There's many states where you can just write in. All right, so there you go. All right, let's jump back here into here. All right, CE1's. All right, let's get into the CE1's. And I'm not really monitoring the chat, but does anybody have any fun and clever, interesting, and helpful chats by any chance? Anybody? 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 Are you looking? Could you please look and see? So the corporate elite 1% has done so much already. And since she's still looking, I'm going to go ahead and play something for you guys. And let's change the direction here on the RT-PCR test created by Kary Mullis. So did you want to go over some stuff real quick with the chat?
Let's see. We haven't had any chats in a while. Last one was from Indy that said, "That's the wipe snap." All my mics off.
Oh yeah, go ahead. Turn your mic back.
We haven't had a chat in a little bit, but last one was from Independent Outsider that said that that's the wipe snap.
There you go. Thank you, Indy. All right, so let me show you this quick video. Now, the PCR test, from what I gather, is created for many different things. It's helped with gene therapy. It helps determine if somebody has a high level of any kind of bacteria or infectious disease or parasite in their body. And it's able to determine this information. But the thing is it depends on the cycle of testing as well. It's not from many sources all over the world. The CDC is told different, but they haven't proved it. The World Health Organization has said different, but they haven't proved it. The FDA has said different, but they haven't proved it. And people on the left especially have said it over and over again that the RT-PCR test is the gold standard and should be used, and that's just the one that's going to fucking determine everything. But that's not the case. That's not the case. That is not the case, and nor should it be. So there's a doctor. His name is
and the test
there's a doctor. Where's that coming from? His name
was developed by a guy named
Oh
Kary
shit!
Mullis,
You're kidding me.
the Nobel Prize in Chemistry for essentially inventing the technique of this test.
I've had the Facebook on the
He
whole time.
said very specifically, you
Well, I didn't
cannot
hear it when I
use
was
this
listening on
test
YouTube.
to either prove
On
infectious
Facebook.
etiology or to diagnose an infectious disease.
I had the
Which, of
Facebook
course,
on.
is interesting because if you can't use it to diagnose an infectious disease, that of course begs the question of.
So I think I've had this echo the whole time.
But let me back up here and describe what a surrogate test means.
Oh, maybe not.
Because this is very important to understanding.
Let me go
the
back to this.
situation we're currently.
Or it just went on when I clicked to it, I think. All right.
The virus, many of them, the effect will be like a bad flu. Those people who are actually hospitalized, then we do have treatments for these.
And anyone breaking the rules risks being dispersed, fined, and possibly arrested. As your Prime Minister, I must do what is necessary to stop the spread of the virus.
I just, fucking that guy irks the shit out of me. And I just want to say that we need to stop the spread of the virus. Blasey, blasey, blah, blasey, blah, blasey, blasey, blah. right? It's just, God, this irks the fuck out of me. And also, you will be arrested, tortured, and dismembered if you're caught not wearing a mask. Fuck.
I've always seen his picture, but
Hold on. I got my speaker on. Go ahead.
I've always seen his picture, but I've never actually heard him talk. So I just like today heard him talk for the first time, and I was just like, I was so shocked. I was expecting like a Cockney accent or something, but definitely not. I did not expect him to sound so polished. I guess.
Proper. So proper. So, yeah, the Queen's English, you know. Anyway. All right, so let me just change to this, and we'll just keep playing this doofus. There we go.
The government reaction is causing more deaths now and will cause far more deaths in the future than the virus itself.
Positive tests do not equal cases. Very important to remember. And I think that many would agree the response has been worse than the crisis itself.
This is Spiro. He's unbiased in my opinion. He said a lot of stuff about this and this and that. You may not agree with him. Every once in a while he has some pretty good stuff. The thing is he did get with a particular doctor recently that had some pretty decent information.
Now here is Dr. Thomas Cowan breaking down the PCR test.
Thomas Cowan.
And how it can be used to manipulate the crisis.
The test is called a RT-PCR test, otherwise known as a viral load test. And the test is a surrogate test. It was developed by a guy named Kary Mullis, who was given the Nobel Prize in Chemistry for essentially inventing the technique of this test. And he said very specifically, you cannot use this test to either prove infectious etiology or to diagnose an infectious disease, which of course is interesting because if you can't use it to diagnose an infectious disease, that of course begs the question of what can you use it for? But let me back up here and describe what a surrogate test means, because this is very important to understanding the situation we're currently in. A surrogate test means that in a situation where you're trying to prove causation, you have to have a gold standard test. And those postulates, like with meningococcus, that is a gold standard test. It's reliable 100% of the time. You cannot use a surrogate test to prove anything. And that is what is happening with these tests. So what is the surrogate test? So remember that we don't have a gold standard. We don't have isolation, purification, reinfection. We don't have viremia. We don't have millions of copies demonstrated on an electron microscope. We essentially have no idea who has this coronavirus disease. So then they take a piece of one of the coronaviruses, the new one that they found. It has a new RNA sequence that hasn't been found before. They take one of the sequences, which they say is unique to that particular virus, and they do something called amplify. And what that means is you take it in your blood, you'll have one copy of this sequence, and it's too small, you can't find it. So you stimulate it, and this is what Kary Mullis came up with. You stimulate it, it makes 2 copies, that's 1 cycle. You make 4 copies, that's 2. You make 2 to the 20th copies, whatever number that is, that's 20 cycles. And what you find with this test is that once you put it through approximately 36 cycles, then you start to see the color change that tells you it's positive.
Okay, that's important. So I'm urging everybody, and I'm not done with this, you need to hear the rest of this. I'm urging everybody that's listening to this and that has the ability, I want you to go to whoever's doing the tests and ask them, how many cycles are you putting it through? How many cycles? Because that's very important. And here's coming up why.
So if you do 35 cycles, it's still too small to see. If you do 36, you start to see it, but you get false negatives, even though you don't really know which is a false negative because you don't have anything to compare it with. So then you do 37 and you see it, 5% of the time of people with these symptoms, and you say that's the number. But here's where it gets interesting. If you do it 40 times, you start seeing a lot more positives. And then here's something else to know. If you do it 60 times, so if you amplify it over and over and over again, it becomes positive with 100% of the people. Let me say that again. If you amplify it 60 times, it will be positive with everybody. That means that everybody has a piece of this RNA somewhere in their cells or in their genome or somewhere in their secretions. All you have to do is amplify it enough. And the problem is we don't know how many false positives or false negatives there are because we have nothing to compare it to. And if all biological tests have false positives, so if you test 30 million people and you have a 1% false positive rate, then 300,000 people by definition will test positive, and then you have an epidemic. And then if you want to demonstrate that the epidemic got better, all you have to do is lower the amplification cycles to 35, and then suddenly your vitamin C or your vaccine or your chloroquine or whatever you did worked, and now there's no more people testing positive. That is fraught with problems, and that is the problem. And unfortunately, with every country has their own standard of what kind of cycles they put it through, the number. So you see very different numbers coming out of very different places, depending on the number of amplification cycles that they're standardizing their test to. And I hope everybody is getting the point that this is a crazy situation.
A crazy situation.
Crazy situation. It's not a crazy situation. It's a diabolical situation. It has nothing to do with crazy. Well, crazy is probably part of it. That is for darn sure. But I do not believe that it has anything to do with some people just crazy and fucked it up or just don't know what the fuck they're doing and they're just weird or fucked up or who fucking knows. I don't know. We don't know. It's 50,000 cycles, 50 cycles, 35 cycles, 36 cycles, false positives. This is, and I've looked a lot of this up. I've gone over his information. I've gone over Dr. Kaufman's information, Andrew Kaufman's information. I've gone over a lot of other doctors' information, and it's clearly indicated that this thing was to test a heightened RNA. I think it's chromosome or DNA RNA of chromosome 8. As soon as it just pops up, that's what they're using to continue to do these cycles to create a positive, to create a case. You now have a case. I don't think people are understanding the formula that they're using and how they're using it and how they're able to manipulate it. Again, I do not believe that people in the United States, a great majority of them, want to take the time or the effort or the due diligence to look all this up like I have and come to the rational conclusion that the theory that I had from the beginning was this is a pandemic, a scamdemic. It's used for various reasons. Go back into my videos. It clearly states in the segments I have, you'll see it's pink, coronavirus background white. It says the COVID stone. So the question has always been with me is how many birds profit, colon or brackets, or are killed with one COVID stone? Who's profiting from this? Of course, we know the 1% have made tons of money, like I've indicated over and over, especially Bezos, because nobody can leave their house. They're buying everything through Amazon or eBay or Walmart or whatever, and getting things shipped to their house. Bezos has made about $100 billion fucking dollars when it usually takes him a year or two to make $100 billion. Now he's done it in a matter of fucking 8 months. You know, other people have made money with him along with this and started their Amazon accounts. Good for you. Good for you. You know, but let's just look at the bigger picture and what's coming down the pike. There's still lockdowns. And the biggest thing that pisses me off about this is the kids are suffering. You know, when you watch it, I'm at a playground just down the street. It's a great city, great town. I know they're going along with what their experts are saying. They're people from the CDC, and the WHO, and the FDA, and all these other people they're just following orders. And I get it, but they have fenced orange wrapping around the playground, right? Fenced orange wrapping around the playground. Kids can't play together. This is the thing that people really need to understand is the numbers are incorrect. The numbers have been incorrect and wrong since day fucking one. And the death toll numbers are definitely and absolutely incorrect and wrong, right? Definitely incorrect and wrong. The death toll numbers for sure are incorrect and wrong. It's just sad. It's just really sad. Just the fear, and the continuous manufactured consent from you to keep this facade continuing. Now, I'm not saying there's not a virus out there, but I am saying that if you look at the true and correct numbers, they're just wrong. It's not. It's wrong. I'm not going to go into the total details of it right now, but if you want, you can look it up. I post this information in my comments on where to go, what to look for. I'll do it in this one as well. We'll put some links also in regards to the Hydra regime in my comments and a few other pieces of information. But the biggest thing is just watching the kids. Imagine your graduation gets stolen from you because of a scam. And I mean, there are so many more doctors coming out there just saying, you know what? None of this is making sense. I'm really starting to do my research. I know a little bit more about virology. I know a little more about science in this industry, and I can understand the reasoning why this isn't making any sense. And they're coming out, right? And they're saying this is bullshit, or they're profiting from it, or they're waiting for their big payday. Right? Because I will tell you this, if there's going to be 8 to 10 billion vaccine vials made, and each one could cost anywhere from, I don't know, I think the numbers were $400 to $3,000 a fucking bottle that your government or somebody's government is going to fucking be paying for, right? Because you're not going to pay for it. You don't care. I don't have to pay for it. No, but it's a deficit. We're already $27 fucking trillion and counting in debt to fucking China. Who knows who we fucking owe money to, right? And then we're just printing it out like it's going to last forever. Or now we're not printing it out. We're digitizing it, of course. But the fact of the matter is this can do irreparable damage. I was thinking of apprehensive and irreparable damage not only to you physically, but to you mentally, socially. I will just say it's, you know, I love my wife, but I'm telling you, sometimes I just need a little space. And she does too. And we all do. We all need interaction with other people, and we want to talk. And me, I'm an extrovert. There's no doubt. And I think she's more of a kind of in between introvert. I'm not really sure, but she is a pretty sociable person when she can be. And the thing is we just need what humans have always had, is interaction. It's almost like they don't want us to come together to talk to each other. 6 feet away, no whispering. So the children suffer, people are suffering, the human species itself is suffering. The corporate 1% are fine. The CE1's are fine. They're living in their big mansions. They've bought islands. They're on their fucking giant yachts. They're cruising around all through the oceans and lakes and doing whatever the fuck they want. That's good for them. But the people that are hurting the most are the 99%. And I'm not just talking about the USA. I'm talking about across the nation. Excuse me, the world, across the world. And then the other thing coming down the pike is this fucking warp speed vaccine. There are people that take flu shots all the time that don't want to fucking take a flu shot right now. They're just like, I don't know about this. All this is really fishy. I don't like what's fucking going on. I don't trust what's happening. I'm getting back and forth information from fucking Fauci. Why in the fuck is Bill Gates affecting legislation and policy? How the fuck is he able to do this? What is the fuck is going on? Right? Well, I know what's going on. And if you think you know, tell me. If you think you know what I know and know more, and I need to know the truth, then bring it to me. Let's talk about it. Tell me what you have. Right? And then I'll show you what I have. And I've been saying this since what? Late April?
Yeah.
Early May? Come to my show. Tell me what I'm missing. Tell me what I'm not getting. And I can tell you, I'm getting information directly from the CDC, directly from the FDA, directly from the mouth and quotations from Fauci and Bricks and all these health professionals and these experts and all this other stuff, that they're fucking contradicting themselves at every fucking turn. Fauci, years ago, was okay with hydroxychloroquine. HRQ, is that the definition of the abbreviation? Hydroxychloroquine. Right. Right? But the thing is, and it's been around since what, 1964? And all of a sudden it's banned, it's not good? How does that fucking make any sense? How does that make any sense? It doesn't. It does not. It does not make a fucking any sense at all. Did you want to say something, or? You were going to say. Did you want to say? Because I got to turn down let me turn down the speaker. So if you want to talk, go ahead. But you can turn up your speaker if you have something to say. And then, so this vaccine is on its way, but the biggest thing that Whitney Webb just found out was on Graham Elwood, or the political vigilante, on his show, and The Last American Vagabond has had Whitney Webb on his show as well, talking about the secrecy of the formula, the ingredients, and the processes of creating this vaccine. And that two guys that are just literally crazy are fucking in charge of it. People that don't have a great past, that are somewhat, in my opinion, expendable to them, to the CE1's. And that is very alarming. I want somebody to be able to take that vaccine, unbiased, and strip it down to what it is and what's in it. I want to see what it has in it. And then maybe I might decide to take it. Well, I'm not going to fucking take it. And let the people know. Okay? Just like you read your ingredients, on bread, or you read your ingredients on a can of salsa or soup. Tells you right in there what the ingredients are, what the percentage of vitamins are, et cetera, et cetera. But I want somebody to make that determination, but they're not allowing it. I want somebody to make that determination, but they're not allowing it. It's secret. How does that even, there's no confidence in that at all. You cannot have any viable piece of confidence in a vaccine that they're hiding the ingredients and how they fucking make it and the formula for it. There's no fucking way. So what I've been saying is what I think they're going to do is they're going to get a bunch of people to take a fucking a bunch of saline solution, or what's that, placebo, in a sense, right? Suppository, depository, injection, however you want to fucking do it. And they're going to try to get manufacturer consent socially, on social media, etc. Oh, I took it, everything's fine, I'm good now, I'm fucking healed, you know, standing right next to this person that's COVID. I got people spitting on me and coughing on me all day long, I'm impenetrable, right? It might even get to that point. But it's probably not going to be the vaccine. And the biggest concern about the vaccine is, if you know the history of vaccines, they're not really safe. Not at all. A lot of people with, not all of them, what?
And can you clarify on that? The
That,
history of vaccines, they're not safe?
yeah, there's been a lot of vaccines that have caused debilitating and bad side effects.
Oh, yes, of course. Yeah, there has definitely been instances where, I mean, if you look into especially Bill Gates' history when it comes to certain countries in Africa, India, and places, that yes, there have definitely been some negative side effects, but I think overall, I think we've all had vaccines and we've been okay.
Yeah, I've had a few vaccines in my time, and I'm not
vaccinated. My son's
Yeah.
been vaccinated.
Yeah.
You know, overall, but the difference is that those vaccines went through all the trials. They went through.
Yeah, so I was getting
every
to.
single step of the way. You know, everything was tested exactly, peer reviewed in the science journals. All that. There wasn't a rush job on it, and especially with a virus that hasn't even been isolated yet. So that's the part that's very concerning to me. They haven't isolated the virus. They can see it under a microscope, but they haven't unraveled it really. But you have to do that first in order to do the vaccine or to do the testing or anything. And so far, if they haven't said. If they have been able to isolate it, nobody's claiming that they have. Nobody is claiming, hey, we have the cure, here's their ingredients, this is how it works. None of that. And there are steps and processes to this. And if we don't follow that, it's going to be bad. Because I've told y'all before on here, if you do not, what they do to one of us, they're going to do to all of us. And what we've allowed them to do, the corporations and our government, we have allowed them to use us as guinea pigs. When you look at DuPont dumping chemicals in our water that cause cancer, they didn't research it, they didn't test it, they didn't do, medical, monitoring to make sure, okay, well, let's see, what happens to these people once they've been exposed to this. None of that. We were all first-hand guinea pigs. Same thing with the MCHM spill. They put poison in our water, had us drink it, and Little Caesars sold pizza contaminated with it. And yet they've never done any medical monitoring of that. They just say, well, they don't want to know, because if they do know, then they'll have to, make reparations for the damages that they caused. But they don't want to know the answers to that. So they're just going to put their product out there like they always do. And then, come what may. And it's happened to us several times over, and we should not allow that to happen on a national scale. If they are going to release a vaccine, then they need to make sure that they list. We need to know every single step of the process: how it was tested, how many it was tested on, You know, the ingredients in it, and not just the ingredients, but the amount of the ingredients. We need to see the research on it in a story, because they brought it up in the debate that over half of Americans don't want to take the vaccine.
She wouldn't answer it.
Yeah, over half of
Kamala
Americans
Harris wouldn't
don't
answer.
want to take the vaccine. Over half of Americans don't vote. Over half of Americans know that they're peddling garbage, lies, propaganda. I mean, the majority of America has already caught on. And so if they're going to tell us, like, oh, okay, this is the vaccine, this is the cure, okay, well, you're going to have to show us something. We're going to have to be able to look at your research and what's in your product. I mean, we're going to have to test that for ourselves and talk about it, because, no, just because the government says it's safe, just because what Dr. Fauci says it's safe, a proven liar, you know, that's just not good enough. None of them have proven, you know, trustworthy, and especially trust them with your life. Would you trust Kamala Harris, Joe Biden, Donald Trump, you know, Mike Pence, any of them, Nancy Pelosi, Bill Gates, Jeff Bezos? Jeff Bezos has about the same credentials as Bill Gates does for making a vaccine. And, you know, I wouldn't trust either one of them with it. So, yeah, we don't have any information. They've never given us proper information when it comes to, you know, how to protect yourself against COVID-19. They've never given us, they give us contradictory information constantly, and that is their plan, to keep us dazed and confused. And we'll hear one piece of information, somebody else will hear a different piece of information, and now you've got two people fighting about it. You know, two groups of people fighting. You know, like maskers, anti-maskers. The thing is, it's real. You can put it under a microscope, you can see it. It is there. It exists. It can make people sick. The problem is that they have incentivized hospitals, not the doctors, but they have incentivized hospitals to find cases. The doctors aren't incentivized because they have medical malpractice. They could lose their license. They could be sued and charged, you know, millions of dollars. They could lose everything. But the hospitals have nothing to lose. Nothing to lose by padding the numbers, or you know, they have ways of fixing the numbers, just like they do with the elections and polling numbers and stuff like that. They have ways of doing that. Does that mean that this virus doesn't exist? Absolutely not. You know, I personally know people, and people in our chat have known people that have been sick with this or have died from this, unfortunately. But the thing is that the reason that happened is because we don't have a competent government. We don't have a government we can trust. We don't have a government that is looking out for our best interest. We don't have a government that's trying to make us, you know, the best kind of country we can be, a fair country, you know, a knowledgeable country, one that can, you know, read a story and tell that it's obviously fake. You know, they can't even trust us to read the news anymore, supposedly. You know, but we're just supposed to trust them on everything. They've taken away freedom of speech, habeas corpus. You got, you know, racism, sexism. People are getting evicted. You know, unemployment through the roof. And the same government that's letting all this happen, we're supposed to say, oh, okay, well, we trust you with the vaccine. Go ahead and inject something into my body. No. No. No, I trust vaccines. I trust science. I trust science. For sure. I do not trust this government. And I don't trust corporations. And they're creeping into science a little too much for my liking.
Exactly. So let me just play this. All right. Sorry, but we're going to have to see this.
Dr. Anthony Fauci and other experts say that most of the people who can be vaccinated need to be vaccinated. But half of Americans now say they wouldn't take a vaccine if it was released now. If the Trump administration approves a vaccine before or after the election, should Americans take it, and would you take it?
If the public health professionals, if Dr. Fauci, if the doctors tell us that we should take it, I'll be the first in line to take it, absolutely. But if Donald Trump tells us that we should take it, I'm not taking it.
That's freaking hilarious. That's hilarious. And let me tell you why that's hilarious. That's hilarious for the simple fact, right? That's hilarious for the simple fact that the same company or companies are making the virus. So if it's ready when Trump wants it, she's not going to take it, or when it's issued. But if it's ready, the same companies, when Biden said it's okay, she'll take it. And of course, she's going to listen to Dr. Fauci and all this other stuff. So she's probably not going to take it before the election and the results and who's actually going to be POTUS moving forward in the next 4 years. What's sad is that's sad. I'm not going to take it if Trump says it's okay. I'll take it if Biden and Fauci say it's okay. It's like, fuck, and be first in line, right? No, I don't think so. And I think that's bullshit. The other thing is, if you believe at all that this vaccine that's coming out, that's made in warp speed time, and sadly Trump is now pushing it with the logistics of the military, which is kind of frightening. Like I've said, the fastest vaccine ever created was 4 years. 4 fucking years. And that went through some pretty speedy trials, human, animal, all kinds of trials, all kinds of tests, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But now there's this vaccine that's ready in 9 months.
Well, I'll put it.
Go ahead.
I'll put it this way: Kamala Harris, Joe Biden, Donald Trump, none of them are going to inject this in their bodies.
I don't think
so. Until they have tested it, practiced on some poor, underdeveloped people or country that they've done before. Like I've said, they've done it in India. They have done it in certain countries in Africa. And once they use their guinea pigs, or this time around it could be us very well. It doesn't really matter who it is. People are going to be tested on. And yeah, there's no way that they're going to do it unless it's tested on us first. And who was it that said that? I think it might have been Bill and Melinda Gates, that they said that the first people that should get the vaccine are black people.
Whoa.
Yeah, and they said it like they were some kind of progressive, like, we care about the blacks. No, they don't. They don't. You can look at their track record on that and the wake of bodies that they've left testing their vaccines. So yeah, that's the only reason why, because they know that nobody's going to care if a bunch of black people end up dead or disabled because of this vaccine. That's why they want to do it. Because look what's already happening with the police, and it seems like we can't get anybody to care about that. Everybody loves that boot on their neck, and so what, you think that those same people are going to care all of a sudden because they tried a vaccine on them and it didn't work? It's absolutely insane.
It is totally insane. All right, so that pretty much kind of buttons it up for me for tonight. I think we might be going over something similar in the next few days. We're going to be doing as many shows as possible. Again, we are pushing non-party voters. I want people to be able to write in whoever the fuck they want. I want you to be able to be your own party. I don't want you to have to break. It's time to break away from partisan barriers. I want you to be able to vote in whoever you want. Build your own candidate. Make them commit to what you want as a mass or a group. And that's fine. And make them do your bidding as a public servant, which these aren't. These two will never do. They're not doing. You know, so I'm not a Trump fan in any way. I think he's funny sometimes. I tell you that. I think he's fucking hilarious. I'm not a Biden fan at all. He's a total fallacy. And I mean, they're both just ridiculous in my opinion. And you know, Howie Hawkins has already been compromised with his rigging, colluding tactics with the United States Green Party of the United States. So I don't really believe in parties. I know there is the movement for the People's Party. I think that's good. First they were a movement, now they're a party. But like I've said, it's just a matter of time before a party gets compromised, like the Tea Party, Justice Democrats, the whole 9 yards. So just be your own fucking party. I mean, that's the American way. That's the constitutional way for you to be able to just come in and just go in the ballot and say, I want to vote for Stephanie Lynn King Young. I want to vote for her because she's pretty amazing, right? Which, who knows, could happen in the next year or two. You might run for something. You never know. You never know. Anyway, so that's pretty much it for me. If you have anything that you'd like to end with, go ahead, give it to the group.
Independent Outsider did mention that was Bill and Melinda Gates that made the comments about testing the vaccine on black people first.
Whoa, that really happened?
The vaccine first. Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah, I mean, it's not really surprising when they debate on whether or not to save the life of children. So, you know, if you don't care about kids, you know, I don't know, Jimmy, should we save a child's life? Is it really worth it?
Let me debate that because I'm a fucking sick motherfucker.
How would that affect our...
Oh my God, I can't believe, even to contemplate that, even to bring that up in a conversation makes me sick to my fucking stomach.
Yes.
And I want to cave in his fucking head. And I want to cave in Bill Gates's. I mean, for this guy to have all this control and be seen as a fucking hero is beyond me. And Fauci, who's just been a facade from, if you've done your research on Fauci, he's not who you think he is. But anyway, I'm going to end on that. Are you good?
I just wanted to point out one more time that I will be covering a little bit more in depth because I kind of went over some of the basics of what a hybrid regime is, but I'd like to get more into the specifics of what it is, how it operates, and how it operates here in the U.S., how we do it. And so we'll get into a little bit more in depth over on my channel, but that's going to be my next one, I think, because I already got the research ready and all that. And I've kind of been putting off that video for like at least a year now. So we're going to be covering that, and that's about it, you know. Nice.
All right, well, thank you again for being over there, and I'm over here. Thank you guys for coming on and listening, but just listen. Dig a little deeper. Question authority, right? Question the sources. You're experts in everything, fine, but go a little deeper. You know, join us down in the Marianas Trench. There's some pretty strange things happening down there. Anyway, thank you all. Mahalo. Nui loha. Thank you very much for being here. And y'all take care.
Y'all take care.
Did I just say y'all take care? Oh, shit. I just said y'all.